Yes.
Everybody good? All right. Everyone good? Plan United States federal government checks up individuals with advanced degrees of science and knowledge from accredited universities of the United States from America limits on employment-based permanent residencies in Taiwan. Economy, U.S. economic leaders collapsing now side by side with Asian science and potential bodily wealth. Economic leaders who are ordered with the half American science and engineering type of brain American students can enter the field. The rest cannot be replaced by recruiting foreign science to the U.S. There's only 7% of residents that try to begin. To the U.S. economic the shift both the academic political power. To other hands, the labor department prove that they're just short of low Tasha and Angles labor department projects 2014 there'll be more than 2 million job openings in science, technology, and engineering, while the numbers of Americans graduating with degrees in those areas are the current equipment-based immigration fields fails to compete with human capital addition. Only the plans and the signal commitment to economic leaders key to visa men. This peers today the best and brightest. I want to come here. We should welcome them by creating clear paths to career circumstances from design and tied to lower caps and career cards, digital state, student, and high tech worker, highly tech work, look for places to study, work with the offer, them work opportunity. This means options for employment-based opportunity after you get to go to the U.S. Party to employment process now part of the calculation side of where to work, study with the annual age will be category options reported introduction to highlight the annual allotment and we had danger with the truth behind the overwhelming demand for Asian visas that most of the applicants would rather be applying for the green card but able to do so because back obviously what happens when we capture the world's best credit comes from the nations. It makes it easier for the race competitive to contribute to American academic science to the chance of graduate our ability to be competitive to build our innovation knowledge base economy requires a large reflective reality global market for talent and international students and high education work of creating clear paths to circumstance for graduates from U.S. colleges and universities substantive research that ensure the commitment to continuing to be a leader in international education. This is all U.S. academic leadership is vital to the state and global model of economic interdependence. The alternative is radical mechanical that leads to nationalism and sparks military conflict. Mark Garten and 9 historians would be busy to globalization when the reverse was likely close of economic national order and protection would be as worse because that'd be too academic nationalism more incentive because more broad set on top of to view negotiations that is based on calculations despite all economic interdependence the nation go out alone academic nationalism see global economies and conflict with their victory was that's why I focus on international commission with the global economy the budget figuring now to avoid international commercial obligations. The last time we saw to sustain economic nationalism in the 1930s the world growth against political types of nations to national possible periodic behind to create fascist governments in Europe and Asia and the world war took place economic nationalism for campus they were looking to their currency in order to make exports more competitive to China and due to the big question for the Asian exporters will follow suit economic national gas the way other countries turn in with the overpass century Washington has the power to have been first preaching the gospel of globalization without opening global country worldwide and just honestly making California and having rationalized restructuring especially with Duke to just passing booms bust for economic national sure to poison geopolitics operates under economic pressure for fewer research to take care of citizens deal with rising social tensions of governments who will both enthusiasm and for the instructions system active words were Genghis Khan and then following minorities for example is great issue use active leader creates incentive framework for preventing these wars from going nuclear isolation causes the man bomb and finally we should for American power the leader reputation great global economic failure and buddy international conflict potential economic calamity wartime destruction great announcement new century because of great extent of international because it's moral illusion when they were about because of large number of nuclear weapons rising active national leaders of great powers raise distinctions of cancer and age will tolerability trigger distinction for reactive response to health and serious global economic downturn and global devastating global disaster rise us should protection would bring even more heat arc and danger competition over shared oil gas and other commodities which over emissions and population pollution the government natural well be more complex around the worst such will lead to most countries where countries offering the minimal provocation economic conditions to service pretext for conflict with several cultural religious difference many nations try to divert attention away from domestic power by challenging countries to popular sentiment towards other countries terrorist groups will like the basis of frequency scam horrifying attack monster resemble with all 1600 quickly spurring the basis of human instincts and true genocide that terrorism pointing biological nuclear weapons will back from confessional force using action to bug purpose bomb to cause violence to destruct the manual term of the second conflict between West and Western China is the beginning in new words use economic U.S. economic leadership to prevent these wars from going nuclear leadership is key to resilience for global and economic collapse this man bomb 5. In the 1930s, the global economy suffered serious damage to the more active American world, where you've been mitigated the economic collapse in the 1930s, led to World War II. Many subjects were subjects included disasters that caused the economic harmful person price 1% of Great Depression. American active American international economic growth has been crucial both in fortifying the conditions for global economic being and COVID period recession because of the absence of such a world weakening the conditions that the problem of the world without America being equivalent to free without cards without race the working economy might suffer severe cost of American industry. Empirical studies support the claim that spread capital solid high scale piece overall rates of conflict decreases capital time as advances Garsky and virus years achieving global recent conflict reaching and African industry living in remarkable peace sometimes present peace than usual more confidence beneath the capitals of nations with high levels of economic freedom that only fight less with the older wars period democracy and economic freedom typically causes the economic freedom causes peace and specifically democracy work up here to cause economic freedom is constantly more potent encouraging peace more than democracy 50 had to propose the way forwards to capitalize the capitalist piece of demonist which extends to more countries through expanding markets development and competitive international purposes only our authors of testable empirical method you should prefer this weed and for my personal homothetic research focus on hypothetic testing and establishing law in general statements from examples of the more economic freedom the U.S. frequently is involved where no type researchers are trying to falsify the proposition that there is almost no theory of mathematics sociality and international relations to deliver the terms proposition we have to look the relative frequency that correlates the evidence based with competing interpretations of the military conflict and notion of negative impact on capitalism and avoidance of conflict the relevance of doctors and the better to thrive on testable tests so that so far pursuit of prophets has been on high content ambiguous conscious category thinking as systematically and value to be provided is only additionally pointless suffering is biologically inevitable only innovation can create a possibility of a way out of the hedonic treadmill with BLTC research and 96 of researchers have powerfully favored the growth of aeronatic subscription policy that adapts the various cycles of physical pain, issue, and accidents, pictures, spurs, and punishing the living being genetically replicated sadness, anxiety, discontent, frequently good for James there, but simply bad for us, like go with suffering is probably so there's the hobby exposure to continue the course people, sometimes has a kind of like the hedonic treadmill and deliver feels to be happy, very full, and things to play, who effective negative feedback because their work is central nervous system, main divergent people will appeal to the board, depressed and anxious, and recreate a garden, eating up present life for billions of people, for billions of genetically normal people is often very grim and no amount of people come back to reform or even radical social engineering kill kind of biological realities mind-made and emotional consumers have had to reset than even the greatest hopes of a high sex to action lottery winners, swords, and blissful who was their lifetime again in the future covered and knew it would be easy for onwarders if we did shuffle past the present future times into indefinite future we suppose the future generations will sometimes be just more subtle group just as we have also done that this assumption is naive the neurochemical basis of feeling emotion is rapidly becoming around with the human genome is going to competence decoded read and they will be purely an issue of human decision whether unpleasant modes of consciousness are generating form of texture or so whatsoever the capable ones and the vote of fact of granted like instead of matter active choice that one sense upon the genetic makeup of one future state that choice can be declined forcing us to respect the affect or act about how will happen future generations prevent us from the same way degrading the environment the moral obligation that a justification should not change the outcome of this young and 3. What we do not have consequences for those who come in, even if we lack interviewed humans, may have interest in at least in pursuit such plans that will be supposed to trick to derive a presence of reason for modifying contemporary conduct form, the reduction for one of the benefits of returning to main dangerous space may not be worth the sacrifice of women pool, or own interest in interest beyond where we will complete the new majority of me for conservation. Future generations of people might have a right to live physically secure life and happy life, and those who present obligation of the therefore, under my obligation not only to allow for the connection of government deterioration and extent to strive with well, being a later human have a duty to jeopardize. We also have the duty to preserve the beauty of the wild nations so that future generations can be an opportunity and appreciate and introduce it to be unfair to us to destroy the world's nature wonders and the only tragedies for us to contemplate the moral reason for protection of non-persons is predation. Failing to plan is planned to fail even if security is insecurities and that with dystopian visions enable us to genealogize the future positively in order to enable civil society to demand positive changes. Kurosawa and foremost there appears to be facing the complex to long-term tragical planning cooperative execution idea of humankind to the outset could often times the minimize factors for success and prior pessimism also mistake within the fact that logic prevented actions has been the application of beneficial task meaning are mapping our interventions in the present intended and physically global society's participation shaping the fields of possibilities of what is to come. One, the competing dystopian vision that filtered out of the basis of analytical credibility ethical commitment political image unpredicted consequence groups and it was curious as the remaining legitimate catastrophic scenarios of genealogical mapping in the future. Our first duty consists of addressing the present cause of everyday eventual pairs we can announce the futures of human creations and the product of physical action of force to begin to reflect upon the delivery kind of legacy we want to leave for those follow around the participants of considerable society can then take a future step by committing the social structures around the border recycling jeopardizing human environmental survival is that directed by the sources of transnational justice that continue to inflict needless and suffering upon future generations of what to be left and transition. Finally, in order to negate the what is the negative, must make an argument that is relevant to a policymaker by disengaging from the political context of lesser evils. Criticism for gross the possibility of positive social change makes all the political claims factors and clean in one. Few times after philosophy one ways in political realms to respect the world gaze escape to produce a theoretical hallucination. We would do well to create a new type of political intellect capable of seeing the need to move past high theory. This means to be going deep into the grimy pragmatic details and it makes honest attempts to truly understand how institutions actually function and the actual before howling at the overflow members might be key, but for being slapped on the debates of true policy pros who have not good reason to listen to jargon riddle lectures for philosophers. Process. 35.
All right, so you say that empirical, testable methods are good. Is that correct?
Yep.
Do you have any evidence that empirically tests the question using the type of scientific research you're talking about that U.S. Leadership in the global economy is good?
Yes, the combination of the Zarky and the Reed evidence indicates that capitalism...
You mean this like Gardsky 5 evidence? That evidence does not say the word America once in the card. It says capitalism is key to democracy.
Right, that capitalist piece is the model that the plan would spread. The Reed evidence indicates...
Where does this card make that claim? This evidence doesn't say that anywhere.
Dude,
if you can read a line.
Internal link question. We read internal link saying...
Yeah, I'm asking about whether or not any of your internal link evidence has been empirically tested. You read a piece of evidence about capitalism that says it solves peace. Do you have a piece of evidence
Martin evidence says that every time in the 20th century where nations have tried to close in on protectionist policies and withdraw from each other, that the U.S. has, quote, preached the gospel of globalization and is a historical study of the past.
So by an empirical testable method, you mean historical claims that people make, just like historicism is a testable method.
That is.
What are you talking about?
Your evidence doesn't talk about any kind of like data. There's no calculations in this evidence. It's just like random historicism from an article this guy wrote in the Wall Street Journal. How is that empirical, testable, scientific method?
I mean, we'll make the argument that should apply to impact claims.
Also,
What?
read
I don't
evidence.
understand if that answers my question at all. Based on what? You already made the argument that it has to be empirical and testable.
Right.
This evidence isn't empirical and testable.
Our Weed
Why should we
argument
answer it?
indicates that research is done through nomothetic ways, which are ways that they test, falsifiable
Okay,
propositions.
wait, what?
and theories.
I'm not a science guy. I don't know what you're talking about. But it
That
doesn't seem like this evidence uses nomothetic anything. It's just a
Nomothetic
bunch of
research-
historicist claims.
Right, but if you go to the bottom of the weak card, it talks about how military conflicts has decreased when the spread of capitalism and economic
Okay,
independence.
so let's talk about this claim that the U.S. has always preached the gospel of globalization. What about the U.S. refusal to comply with a WTO ruling on its agricultural subsidies?
That
Consistent.
we think that the plan is a better way to preach globalization, or Pearson evidence.
No, I'm not asking that. I'm
Right,
just saying,
but that is
how is
one
it
thing that-
historically true that the U.S. has preached globalization? It has massive agricultural subsidies in violation of World Trade Organization policies.
Our economic standing is fluctuating and is decreasing in the status quo. Our Pearson evidence indicates that the plan would send a signal that solves our economic leadership and that would be able to reverse things possibly such as agriculture subsidies, or at least be
I don't
able
understand.
to comply
Why is the
with
signal
WTO.
important? What does this even mean? This just sounds like nonsense.
No, our Pearson evidence indicates that it would send us, I'm going to use the word signal, so let me keep going. International education industry, and that model will be able to affect how other countries view us.
Okay, so it's an educational signal.
And an economic leadership signal. You want this one?
Yeah.
You want to show me the case?
It's 3.
The case.
Can you flip to your left?
Yeah. I'll just try and keep them on here.
Yeah.
Does it give any floor paper?
Yeah, it's all right.
Oh.
First EEV immigration reform satellites until 2012 didn't intend. Immigration bill will have to wait 2012 to drive past bill, all like non-prudent bill, and they'll demand EEV for the planned harbor and Congress to national EEV as matter of their consensus. The alliance has been drawn advocates will try to attach this to any immigration bill Congress considers, and that destroys small business bill or more 95 national verification system or replacement or prevent huge administrative burden, especially small business. All employer would require to ask the federal government permission every time one hits that collapses growth, relations and so key to solve poverty, grab and inform. Robust positive relation with growth, small business, economic growth, and there's strong reverse relation relative side and intensive positivities, result of small economic growth and poverty, alleviation, criticism, the afflux, and the global war for talent that made over H-1Bs is not a vehicle for creating equitable, interdependent economic order, but instead looks at a dangerous nationalistic economic competition only refusing the term of this to make a great effective condition for global social justice. Content Act 9. The convening national supreme risk perpetrating mythical global nation state equal all nation fails to acknowledge system is dominated by the United States imperial power for their nationalists in fluid struggle between American and India. There's not fight between powerful leaders, weak leaders, Spain over H-1Bs, global immigration numbers need to be seen as matter of competing white-collar nationalism. These basically hit the U.S. Capitol against U.S. later reconstructing the spoils of the called the unlimited number of workers called for restrictions they tend to experience so explicit assumption that the righteousness of U.S. capital domination activists are need to confront not only national white-collar imperialism as well, and this nationalism produced by the global war on talent ensures extinction turns case Garten, and nonetheless we saw.
You can just cross-apply that.
Oh yeah, and user refuse the absent method of short-term impacts predicated on market logic, depth, fixation on market efficiency, and short-term economic profit displaces structural balance on the future generations, marginalized people. Only far-sighted and cosmopolitans can effectively address structural balance and ensure sustainability of human life. Kurosawa, half, author, and 4. Contemporary societies develop a temporal myopathy, occurs individuals live in state to screen out anything in the moment. As solid every time generation really proves to selfishness and space of this generation remembers. They come to group from north of the region disaster, somebody else for worry about those socially and economically marginal or geographically temporally distant in instrumental strategic forms of thought and race in the market, rarely compatible with the demands of farsightedness, the calculation most technically efficient means to attain a particular corporate objective and subsequent relentless pursuit of it intrinsically exclude broader questions of long-term prospects and negative side effects. Growing risks are transferred to future generations through a series of trade-off: economic growth versus environmental protection, innovation versus safety, instant gratification versus future well-being. What can be done? Legal cosmopolitan provides clues to think formation of the universal duty to care, transcend borders. We need to begin thinking about farsighted cosmopolitans to take seriously. Intergenerational solidarity must be careful upon our potential impacts for action. Super responsibility from even until the results. What we find here is a substantive future-oriented ethos based on objectives. Civic Association Act. The enact the work preventive force of the alternatives. The text is to reject the global war for talent conceptions that say as a competitive equity lock in the global war for talent become hegemonic, only refusing the ass framing. Again, grace spaces for other ways of constructing state global economy. Focus 6. International competitiveness quite a specific history of emerging international state global forms of governance discourse. International competitiveness is the center of how the state wars conducted is also manipulated by other actors, world political economy, recolonization of the problem of international competitiveness relies on potential to contribute to opening up space rather than state because some of the other competitive equity at stake here is the issue of the absence of state conceptions rather than around countered and neoliberal one such competitive equity is the hegemonic position of neoliberal policy discourse of competitive as such the latter is left unchallenged. Alternative state conceptions will unavoidably be assessed in terms of instant international competitiveness and stand little chance of prevailing politicization of the problem of competitiveness can contribute both to the concept of fall from current grace and increase people's receptivity both existing and progressive alternatives. Re-problematization of the problem of international competitiveness provides this article for future delegitimize attempts to rally people behind national competitive projects provide additional stimulus for popular opposition. The counterplan, the text, the United States federal government exempt individuals exempt advanced degrees of science and technology from universities in the United States without numerical limits and employment-based permanent residency. University accreditation standards function to entrench racism and hide the fundamental whiteness of the structure. They oppose discriminate against schools with lower test scores and admission race. Shepherd in academic accreditation standards discriminating against black students in schools that show the dead for racist structure standards more efficiently filter out black standards. Shut less effective women schools for many black requirements for high scores on high undergraduation cannot precisely be calculated. Low schools serve black possibly with sparse educational resources racially biased testing class low scores on low undergraduation by forcing these three. The ABA specifically no schools and to be allowed computer please this is not a mere structural question locks in fundamental structural whiteness that hides its own racism. Bronte Denise Jones 5. HBU administrators not believe that sacrifices incorporates any demonstrated respect to the economy and the institution do not feel proud process or believe within the HBCU community accreditation standards uniformly valid measure with a little of artificial the installation because these are trained history institutions view the accreditation process as punitive. They will claim this is merely an actual election as opposed to all universities. However, this the fundamental underpinning of whiteness must be challenged prior to the affirmative Kelly 7. Whiteness is a constituent epistemology of less invisible regime power and secure system to discursive material affects our everyday life cultural explanation of continue to have actively invested reproduces whiteness in an effort to ensure the way of knowing be a predicated superiority expanse of Israel contemporary system indigenous people centralized individual American ensures privilege whiteness failing the process of racial exclusion structurally permitted ensure whiteness re-articulation contextually valid appeal of university contextualized objectivity whiteness self-assess atomized individually through individuation white subject individual whiteness ensures that white people doing with a brain all special interest politics looking getting on this moral politics and colonial extinction provides conditions for the structure of others' codes, world terms of dangerousness, Mendieta, and to racism by which power recalls counter war, society, racism, mental effects, war based upon the condition of society, away from the death, torture, predator, society entails. We ridicule threats with these threats by biological nature, permutation, and solve this university accreditation process as a secret cabal that protects the good old boys, ready without increasing quality to describe this single law with the counterpoint avoids Roscoff and 7. Transparency may issue upon changing the accreditation to one schools for credit very rare satisfying the institution of youth president instant and incentive to the society criticize the library better study abroad programs and complete set accreditation look at schools running and the quality of the quality of teaching case. Foreign students at U.S. universities are not necessarily the best and brightest. If it was, it would increase inequality and aggravate conflicts with developing countries border houses too. Little evidence supporting the claim that particularly the claim from the person who represent English and financially responsible foreign students not clearly the U.S. who desire U.S. to skim the best and brightest from the process to run human capital further, widen the income gap in the United States, resulting in increasing global inequality and further aggravating many social and political conflicts. The U.S. economic leadership decline is inevitable. Private sector failed in competitive innovation collapse inevitable without increased federal funding, nor is intent federal investment technology, especially important for sector public investment technology. Basically, fundamentally different. Those who suggest we simply rely on indirect market measurement to be failed to understand history, technology, innovation, competitive risk, damage, global leadership, federal funding not coming now, political polarization, nor and can promote competitive innovation policies like hyper-partisan politics, obstruction, anti-government sentiment, liberal economic ideology will seek to discredit the role of federal investment to seriously damage our national innovation system. The collapse of competes is one of the clearest, most alarming examples of recent history. Is infeasible for the U.S. to regain a leadership position and key technologies. Too many factors hinder competitiveness. Land 5. The goal of U.S. policymakers having U.S. regain leadership while key technology is not simply feasible, not clear. The U.S. regain advantage for solutions to the economy. The loss of positive externalities and nationals are finding their technology development also makes more sense to invest in offshore. Domestic university, the clean evidence concludes we must position ourselves as public intellectuals, not policy wants or tyranny is inevitable. This is the last paragraph of the article McLean 1. I do not know what class position or turn to advocate complicated intellectual, emotional, obstacle, achievement of the country. And I see how policy wants political class, politicians, religious ideologies, special interests can do what you be on without a courageous new breed of public intellectual one is able to help articulate new visions of community and social well-being. I do not see how Americans move beyond toleration and all of their biological techno-utopianism justifies super-intelligent technocratic authoritarianism. GSU10. All transhumanist belief liberal Democrats are relentless belief human perfectibility and governance survive recent also validate technocratic authoritarianism staunchly libertarian transhumanists appear the blithely unaware the arguments of governmentality beyond super intelligence being so human issue out of the recapitulated arguments for totalitarianism and their techno-utopia future isn't progressive as GSU10. Faith in inevitability progress when we found techno-utopia's future is the rise of a fall of fascist communism, closing utopias, mounting evidence for danger, unintended conflicts, technology, via hold fast, lightly believe in inevitability to join scientific political war office, transhumanist community. Well, so much fight means we win, they lead to a bad political structure. Their technology is only as good as the political structure they lead to. Transhumanist fantasies lead to anti-scientific backlash, undermine status quo just efforts lead to eugenics and crush democratic politics. GSU10. Scientific innovations foster political reforms, threaten radicalism, techno-utopian failures, scientific hope, anti-scientific backlash, superlative technocracy, perform anti-democratic political function, promising techno-peace for social problems that can be used to distract from media, social needs, the techno-utopian association with eugenics until the totalitarianism setback democratic scientific progress in the next century, and their leadership arguments based on a flawed methodology is 1994. The view of nations community against authority incorporates from race doctrine. Competitors flatly along the world's leading nations are not in economic competition with another major economic goals with theory to lose theorists. Competitors make arguments supported by careless ridiculous research result of this obsession disallocating trade research, trade friction, and other bad democracy politics leads to trade wars. Carbon 94 obsession with competitors leads to trade controversy. The trade world order that focus on supposedly competitive nature to international economic relations. Greece the rails of the confrontation of life. Frankly, protection politics. We already see the process at work destroys innovation. Studies prove this. Cone 86 studies 65 found cooperation pros higher achievement in competition that scientists cited most often.
Okay, status with counterpoint Kate.
Condition.
Alright, you read this dining card. It says the sole Republican working with Democrats on a bipartisan legislation bill said the issue will have to wait till 2012. Why should we prefer a unique card that cites one person that immigration will be held off till 2012?
That piece of evidence is citing the leader of the charge.
Sole Senate Republican. One Republican. There are 99 other senators. I don't really see how.
You're correct. There are 99 other senators.
Right.
The question of whether or not it'll be able to come up in the squo is actually pretty relevant.
Okay, Obama's pushing the DREAM Act. Obama's pushing the DREAM Act and the status quo, which is an immigration policy. Why does that not trigger?
Our piece of link evidence says massive is about in terms of comprehensive immigration reform, the idea of massive visa liberalization.
How is the DREAM Act not massive visa liberalization when it goes to children of like?
Well, I think the only visa liberalization the DREAM Act does is for children. Our link argument is about broad-based economic.
I don't know what the link distinction is. Okay, the counterpoint. How is it functionally competitive? Because it just it goes to more universities than the plan tax.
No, well, we have two arguments. One is that you staked out a position in the 1AC that we should send these people to particular accredited universities.
Sure.
That's bad. Second, the counterplan text refuses to inscribe in the law the question of whether or not, so it's functionally competitive because it would not inscribe in the law the standard of accreditation.
So your argument is that accreditation is not in the law now.
Accreditation is not in the immigration law now.
It's not in the.
Okay.
Immigration laws,
your TANOC
accreditation
evidence.
is not a requirement for universities to have. It's
Okay.
not a legal requirement.
Your TANOC evidence on the critique says that there's a global war for talent. We have pieces of evidence in the 180 that says that immigrants want to come to the United States and that it would foster ties with other countries. What is this global war for talent if they want to come?
Well, the idea that we need to bring them here in order to maintain our economic
They
leadership.
want to come here, so keep going.
Yeah.
So
The K isn't like you're racist because you make them come here.
Right.
The K is like it's messed up that you want to bring everybody into the U.S. to compete with other countries, and that other countries will be all better off.
where do
if they're
we
junior
make a
partners to the US
competitiveness
economy.
claim in the 1AC? We say that our economic model is good and
Right.
that other countries should also be
Right.
interdependent.
That in order for the United States to secure economic leadership, we have to maintain our model as superior to all others. Otherwise, it becomes an ideological
What if our
competition
model
about
is the
economic.
model of interdependence?
That's the model that the United States imposed upon the world is not is one that
What's the
that
alternative?
is externally imposed.
Interdependence. Okay, you read this, let's see.
The
Lynn
current
and Saltzman
employment-based
have- hold on,
immigration system fails to compete
Sean,
for human
I'm good.
capital as
You
the
read
second
this
part
long,
of the
Lynn and Saltzman part says infeasible. The only reason it's why it's infeasible is because of positive externalities. What's a positive externality?
Which of these?
This one that we can't sell competitiveness.
That it's already more beneficial for offshoring to happen. AF can't solve that internal link because it
So the only internal link in this claim is that we can't solve offshoring.
No, you asked me about the positive externality part of that evidence. That's what that
Okay.
one is.
Take that.
Thank you.
Can you give me an answer? What'd you do with the rest of that stuff?
You just want that one card.
Just give me the relevant ones.
Everything that you want is turned out in that box.
Did you make a note of that life version?
No.
Stop prep.
5:45.
So check out that? I'm begging for a contract. Only you can prevent checkouts.
Yeah, the speech type will just get fixed.
Dude, what's the hot Atlanta check sign?
How much time did he over, man?
We have 5:45.
That sounds really good. Have you ever heard of this place Orange, or have you been to Orange in Chicago? It's really good. They do pancake flights, where they have like, they change it every month, I think. And it's like, it's a pretty nice actually. Nutella and
How do you guys want to do this?
walnuts
Just
and
okay.
it's
Just
I'll put it on the viewing.
Okay. Does the game computer have enough battery?
What about?
No.
What's the better thing?
The original house of pancakes.
That's pretty good. That all sounds really good. Right now I'm enjoying a healthy breakfast. Right?
Charge, go.
So all of that sounds good. Full of vitamin, bread.
I can usually make this on my computer.
No, because it should
Oh,
charge.
it's
Or no,
working
it's going to charge.
Okay.
One of your tubs, like, use.
Yeah, the one
Super burritos. So that's not a real thing.
You want to take here?
Case, disad, pick, okay.
Which time do you want? Good?
Ready?
First case argument doesn't assume that the plan only goes to people with advanced science degrees. Those are probably the best and the brightest now. They say decline is inevitable. This assumes the status quo. We make people citizens, which means we are not any of their H-1B links. This also denies their link on the criticism. That is inevitable. H-1B cap is not filled in the status quo, which means that competition is going to happen now. It's only a question of whether or not we choose to get them to stay here. That is better because it promotes understanding cooperatively through the world of the U.S. economic model, sends a signal that we are open to the outside. Now they say there are too many factors. However, we solve. Now we are leaders. We are leaders in STEM technology now. However, we're going to decline by 2014. That is hard to quote you evidence, which indicates that the decline causes other nations to turn inwards against us. That happened in the 1930s, escalated to trade toward that. The Garten evidence it is the worst case scenario for all of their impacts. Now they say they make all of these indicts to posthumanism. However, we do not create a divide. Rather, we create a deliberation about which human values have the most merit. This Boström and 3 some values pertaining to the current forms of posthuman existence may be values for us now, and they may be so in virtue of our current disposition, and we not be fully aware to appreciate them with our current deliberative human capacities. Transhumanism does not require us to say that we should be favored posthumans over human beings, but that the right of favoring human beings by enabling us to realize our ideals better, that some of our ideals may be well located outside the space and modes of being that are accessible to us and our current biological impact. Additionally, all of Hughes' criticisms directed at current technoscience and the way that it constructs human identity. There is only a question of whether or not posthumanism would be able to give us a choice about the way that we experience reality. Additionally, there is no impact to identity. Boström in 3 transhumanism promotes the quest to develop further further so we can explore the hitherto inaccessible realms of value, technological enhancements and means with ought to pursue this end. There are limits to how much we can achieve by the low techniques such as education, philosophical contemplation, and moral self-scrutiny. This is not to denigrate what we can do to the tools we have to ultimately transhumanism and hope to go further moral derule. Bostrom 3-axis moral urgency, transhumanist vision, 150,000 human beings on our planet die every day without having had access to anticipated enhancement technologies that will make it possible to become post-human. The sooner this technology develops, the fewer people will have died without access. They've conceded the 1NC BLTC evidence. This is damning because it indicates that it is necessary to a form of permanent orgasmic bliss that we will never have to leave. We will also be able to experience new forms of awesome existence. That is a moral imperative, because otherwise life is inevitably biologically shitty, which is a conceded no value to life in the status quo argument. We can only innovate our way out of destructive genomics. Now, it also is the key to all sorts of isms, including racism, which means only the plan solves, and any solvency definite means you vote at Bostrom. And 3, transhumanism advocates the well-being of all sentients, whether in artificial intelligence, humans, non-human animals, including racism, sexism, species, and religion, nationalism, regional intolerance, and are unacceptable. There is specifically transhumanist motivation for this in order to prepare for a time where human species may start ranging out in various directions. We encourage moral sentiments that are broad enough to encompass in the sphere of moral concern sentients that are constituted and differently from ourselves. Additionally, it is based on the effect of the plan, which means it's preferable to the framing of their counterplan, because you should prefer impacts that are a direct consequence of the plan. They say, Krugman, however, this evidence is totally inapplicable. It's talking about the idea that there is an ideology of competitiveness that is used by corporations. No shit, that's inevitable in the status quo. Probably means your critique can't solve Jack Taco. Now, the national ID debate. No link, we won't push national IDs after the midterm LA Times. For 20 small and more judicial pieces of immigration legislation might serve as the basis for bipartisan agreement. Now, before the midterm election, 2 parties can first state agreement, and then the less contextualize the deal with the other most controversial elements. National ID card until after the midterms, like fiat solves link. No one means the bill won't be attached. No opportunity cost being the plan. National ID cards your links from 08 doesn't assume current political environment. Republicans are unlikely to push their one. It names one senator, and DREAM Act takes out sometimes. In 915, the Senate is going to change the do the right thing the next few weeks. Instead of bring the DREAM Act to the floor, there's no reason why it shouldn't. Saying the guys are saying bipartisan support. I've been a supporter of the bill since I was in the Senate. I would do whatever it takes to support the Congressional Hispanic Caucus after we pass the bill. So I can sign it into law. We should get it done. Additionally, this bill passed when we were all in high school. It means it probably should have been implemented, or the impacts are 99, and doesn't violate privacy tenet. 9, 3 all men and women. All men and women serving our country in armed forces, most public servants, many private employees, sensitive positions, are fingerprinted, so what are going to do having a national ID card that will ensure that every vote is cast by a properly identified person, valid government distributed. The SUV presented for airline tickets to travel wise, presenting a national ID card with biometric information more disturbing and loathsome than presenting a driver's license, accreditation pick, perm, do the counterplan, excluded credit as part of an act of inclusion, not exclusion, just saying universities by definition includes both accredited and non-accredited universities. Sexual competition is illogical and stupid. A, until regress to every word, every letter in the plan, piece of punctuation that are not germane to the resolution should have you be prepared to defend. B, justifies the pick, makes generic bait always an optional, as the negative cites at the top becomes a universal no-cost proposition. C, legitimizes word salad permutation. Tack the word accredited at the end of the plan. The CBO will just think it's a typo and eliminate it during the proceedings of the plan. This is logically indistinguishable from the justification of the counterplan. Is uniquely unpredictable. Counterinterpretation must be functionally competitive, otherwise the plan plus perm to the counterplan solves all of their office voting issue for fairness and credit. Universities are vital solvency. Choi in 10, bishops introduced new legislation to shut down fraudulent diploma mills. The market worthless degrees deceiving employers by falsely claiming higher level academic achievement. Diploma mills sell degrees without requiring other academic work and no physical presence beyond a PO. Back to university, very strong endorsement of the legislation to protect higher education, eliminate diploma mills. Still critical because some students are unaware that they are enrolling in fraudulent enterprise, which means the internal link turns their racism impact, because they literally create an opportunity for for U.S. scam artists to market themselves to international students that are at a disadvantage because they do not live in the United States. Vital internal link to attracting foreign students means they can't solve betterly. In 10, today, postdocs really pursue their own ideas of work. We created a graduate field. Nearly every faculty member with a research track now use postdocs to the bench work for a lab project paid under the grant. These highly skilled employees might earn $40,000 a year for 60 more hours a week in the lab. For scientifically trained young people from abroad, the calculus is a different opportunity for them. Postdoc working in the U.S. is an unbeatable opportunity about science experience and prestige of working in the world's scientific power. Postdoc research likely to pay more. On that many foreign postdocs erroneously believe the temporary H-1B visa that in the U.S. will eventually lead to permanent residency. Key to solve versus fail state Golan. I'll attend the connection to education, personal life, advantage, drive, gold mark for education, diploma, dark response to these market forces. These minimal risks associated with felony degrees to market leads to traffic to honored education and building sophisticated business opportunities in the developing world where doctors and engineers desperately in short supply. The bribery of educated officials by diplomas can interfere with the establishment of legitimate universities. We know the recent history of the problems and conflicts around unstable and failed state to overthrow the national brownies and spread through the rest of the world. Extinction. Africa research studies 2K3 an increase in collapse stages and security of Western states, health and contagiously like Ebola starts to spread, become lack of measures taken in collapse areas, weapon mass starting to become in the hands of terrorist strict political faction and control of collapsed states or aggressive politically, still in control and faced with an armed race, which would sooner or later result in the use of nuclear weapons. Additionally, survival comes first. There will be no humanity afterwards, which means it's impossible to experience pain, which means that there will be no value if we need to. We will read evidence on this in the 1AR. Now, the criticism. I'm actually going to read a couple cards that I didn't flash you, but they're...
Oh, that seems okay.
I mean, you can look. Brain drain is double win, Johnson 9. Today's reality is talent circulates, skilled people leave their home countries they may stay prior to becoming established homes both, and divide their time between the two, travel back and forth, constantly engage in multinational research projects, follow a variety of patterns for the U.S. to attract and retain the U.S. best talent. Our college, university students, faculty, students, strategies, policy must accommodate these realities, conflict patterns of global mobility, do not recognize the anachronistic immigrant, non-immigrant distinction. Brain drain has positive effects bestowed, and Hofner in 7. Fully appreciating the benefits that high-skilled immigration requires, we broaden our outlook to include greater consideration of how such immigration affects outstanding countries. The so-called brain drain has come to be used as overall positive phenomenon, increasing economic globalization has combined with changes in technology both to create new opportunities and contribute one's homeland. The explosion of remittance constitute undeniable proof of migrants' ability and desire to give back to their place of birth. The loss of migrating citizens appears less permanent once we all thought the brain drain has revealed in the last decade the implication understanding the so-called brain drain reach across the elements of productive growth, jobs, and security paradigm, the link between security development, finding new substantial support, increased engagement, skilled, educated persons in the long run, enhance the prosperity of development in sending countries. The understanding of positive effects of the diaspora theory of immigration for development organizations also have obvious positive implications for the U.S. productivity growth and jump the number of people living in dire poverty is likely to fall. Skilled and educated migrants be more widely understood as contributing to problems committing significant growth in markets. This means that their theory of zero-sum economics is simply another flaw of economic nationalism, which they link to their criticism because they assume what they can frame with the actual win the debate of plans better status quo competitive policy option. Anything else moves to one they see is predictable low cost calculus desirability of plans for this as the basis of accuracy in preventing the destruction of life logic to priority extinction comes first. Reject root cause arguments. There is no falsifiable thesis capable of linking a particular organizational search to the origin of social violence. Permutation plan online mutually response to the alternative plan. In fact, inventory is infinitely regressive. Proves their critiques incoherent with our framework. Their alternative admits that competitiveness is too ingrained to overcome. Faulkner in 6, the possibility of the state becomes something other competitive entities selecting depend all the more DG dominance, neoliberalism, rationality of government construction of governance. The state competitive entities most probably considered integral, more comprehensive process which the subjects of various constituting governance spheres, all likely social life, economic value, successfully colonized human thought, and conducted seems likely decolonization related to general states and interstate war can achieve the logic such that continue to reign almost supreme in life. More generally, they've conceded that their own evidence says that the U.S. needs to send a signal of globalization, which means they do. Probably solves their own impact evidence. Additionally, their Kurosawa evidence flows out because it indicates that we need pragmatic policy opportunities. The alternative does not provide one, which means that there is no foregrounding for global civil society. All fails bar hybrid. And 6, self-regulation do not work. So when the issues like consequences of non-compliance, volunteer critics, public relations, voice.
What word on Barnheiser?
Voice.
Boys. Okay.
Couple questions.
Wait. Before, can we jump us the cards?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I could just
Sorry.
add.
Before we start.
Yeah. Sorry, you got it.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right.
I just forgot.
I love papers.
You know
So
what?
do you have to clean after your debates?
That's true.
That's true. That's true.
That's
I'm
true.
not
It helps me
gonna
work on my
defend
upper body strength.
What?
Lifting paper.
Can we get a little gun show while we're waiting for the jump?
Sorry, what?
All right. It's their distinction is, because I didn't.
That's the title of the file.
It's just the top two. Or you.
Okay.
Oh, wait a second.
You're not good?
Fucking so aggressive.
All right. Cross-examination.
Wait, real question first. Yeah, this is within cross-ex. What were the permutations you made in the 2AC, and what was your framework interpretation?
I made Perm do the counterplan on the counterplan.
Right.
I made Perm do the plan and all non-mutually exclusive parts of the all of the critique.
Okay.
Framework is, SQO or comp-locked. And is that it?
Okay.
Your brain drain positive effect evidence indicates that one of the reasons why it's desirable is that people return to their country's origins. Talking about H-1B temporary workers by brain drain is good. Your app explicitly says that we should take them and keep them. Why is this app evidence for you?
Control F test says no H-1B is in there.
Yeah, our evidence is talking about global mobility patterns and indicates people travel a lot.
Okay, how does brain return happen in a world of EV
No,
visas?
dude, you're like missing the boat here. It's not that they go home, it's that they travel to their home countries frequently.
They
which
send
causes
back
them to
remittances.
spend money, they remit lots of money, they...
So your internal link is just going to be remittances?
No, we have 5. One is remittances, another is travel, another is diaspora connections that cause the home country to support generous policies towards the sending nation. Third is that
your diaspora connections argument assumes that you create economic linkages between the immigrants who are here and their families.
They're
and
like not going to stop talking to their families.
Of course.
Just as they moved.
Yeah. So it leads to economic linkages. This is just a clarification question.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's also another substantiation for interdependence argument.
The only permutation on the counterplan is just do the counterplan, right? Only thing you're advocating, do the counterplan.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
your piece of Choi evidence indicates that accreditation is the vital internal link. What does the accreditation process do to ensure that it means the only way to solve?
I mean, it precludes, universities like the University of Phoenix or the University of Wasilla, which just like prints diplomas and mails them to you.
University of Phoenix is accredited.
What?
Never mind.
I'm talking about the one that's not.
So that's
the online one. It's not legit.
The internal link. The internal link to my question is: what does the accreditation process itself do? How does it ensure that these are the best students?
Well, it forces you to defend a dissertation. There are rigorous requirements that the university has to meet to the government in order to get
That's my understanding. What is the investigation process that the accreditation does and ensures that those things are true?
It means that you have to provide a general education requirement. You have to provide some sort of quantitative training. You have to provide field work. There are a whole bunch of different requirements. Many of them are field specific for different graduate programs. They also determine admission criteria.
All right. Why does technological development inevitably have this progressive character of orgasmic bliss?
Because it increases choice.
Okay. Where are these brain drain codes again?
We just flashed them to you.
It's called this distinction is, or their distinction is.
Oh, okay. My bad. Sorry. Right now, it's all about the US. No, I can take the case.
you don't get this, I'll put it close.
I forgot about that. Which we have about 633?
I don't know, I think it is.
Did you read both of these cardinal cases?
No, just the top one.
Okay, so I'll read this bottom one. What first thing is
I don't think it was actually counted as ability.
You read these two already. No, we'll just read it. I think I have this case memorized.
Oh, are you good?
Yeah.
Do you need anything in this tub right here, Peter?
Georgia?
Are y'all active?
Or negative?
Georgia?
Employment-based, substantially increasing. Those. Employment things specified in section yada yada blah blah blah. No, it's not like that. It says pieces. Harvard? Harvard?
Yeah.
Papers?
GP.
Oh, we'll let you take a little bit more.
Alright. You did your job. What were they asking you, right? I was successful.
Do you know all the Emory people?
Sorry?
Do you know all the Emory people?
I think I remember a little bit of yeah, the fellow is not. How much is that for very least?
We use 19 seconds.
19?
19.
No, 4, 6.
like over half an hour to go by one this morning.
Yeah.
I woke up definitely at my alarm and then turned it off for another 15 minutes when that's like.
Yeah, I woke up and I opened the clock and I was like, no, I'm gonna go for it. I know.
Hey, Evan. Yeah, yeah.
It's going to be the K and then the K's. Okay. Is everybody ready?
The avalanche in the global war for talent that creates competition state extends. The U.S. imperialism across the globe has not produced evidence of liberalization of immigration policy, resolves the contradiction between U.S. labor and U.S. corporations in favor of U.S. corporations, and creates drive for U.S. imperialism. Our dirt and evidence indicates this creates economic nationalism and leads to extinction. Our first evidence indicates you have to place the global inequality created by the before and long-term consideration before the question of short-term market considerations. They can't solve any of these warrants or the warrants that occur when I see evidence because our evidence indicates focus on things like innovation over safety or economic growth over environmental catastrophe, making it and market efficiency, making it possible for us to calculate long-term and transition to long-term cosmopolitanism means that this is only an argument for the negative and they're structurally precluded from accessing it. The alternative is our vote to reject the global war for talent, replacing the hegemony of the competitive state is necessary to transition to new modes of global cooperation, create a more effective mode of globalization outside of the competition state. Makes the question of whether or not we need a competition state in order to have globalization. At the top of the debate, we'll isolate a couple different link arguments. A subpoint is our to knock evidence. They resolve contradictions within the United States over questions of economic competitiveness. Our to knock evidence is pretty good on this question. The question of EB versus H-1B visas is not relevant. Our evidence is talking about visas like H-1B visas that are concerned with bringing high skilled immigration, creating a knowledge economy in the United States means that they create a competition state opposed to other countries in the global economy. That's the first piece of McCord evidence talks about how we need more human capital in order to be able to be competitive. The second piece of evidence also makes a similar claim that the U.S. model will fail if we don't bring more people to their brain drain. Evidence is also pretty indicative that this indicates that we need to steal the best and brightest from other countries in order to ensure the U.S. is able to be competitive. That stealing these people would be better for U.S. export markets. B subpoint is national branding. Knowledge economy leads to national war for talent, causes states and police internal difference, creates national branding in order to attract high-skilled workers. Stock 9 Welsh government dedicates itself to establishing Wales in the world, by which it means transforming Wales into a world-class location for attracting inward investment from high-tech employers. Knowledge economy discourse was like development model which growth is to accrue throughout our community. Other regions never any war for talent is legitimate. The knowledge economy ideology of meritocracy. Nations will class will do whatever it takes to compete for the best and brightest. Because creating a knowledge economy was dependent on their ability to sell Wales to the world. Welsh government officials insist on how important it is to speak with one voice, present a consistent image. Wales needs to be externally distinct but internally different. Innovative development knowledge economy must be tightly monitored and controlled. They will say that this evidence specific to the U.S. true, but I've isolated several link arguments above to prove why all their money evidence is similar kinds of discourse. The CISA point is marginalized nationalism. Global war for talent re-inscribes nationalism, advocates draining and high-skilled migration appeal to nationalism justified changes in immigration policy as an impact turned all their diaspora arguments. Chakravarti in sixth movement of high-skilled workers jobs between India and the U.S. has been a source of political tension to home and abroad in India process of provoked Hindu nationalists. BJP constructed the ideal of a homogeneous immigrant community and community the U.S. highlighted the world globe-trotting Indian high-tech entrepreneurs in here in Washington most expensive. Public sector advert campaign history celebrating India's accomplishments around manipulation to the success of the high-tech nation. Economic success was celebrated with gusto, announcing India's arrival as modified economic superpower. D disappointed as U.S. economic leadership is a mask for U.S. racism and imperial control. This is capital through this narrative. Separates U.S. is finally revealing its manifest destiny and globalization. Their narrative is the reluctant imperialist. The U.S. can save the people to war from anarchy. The purpose of power is a fundamentally liberal purpose of sustaining the key characteristics of an orderly world. This
as a narrative about race, images of an unruly world, recycle stereotypes of racial inferiority from early colonial discourses, U.S. mental authority to make judgments on what is right and what is wrong for everyone else, implicit within all of their leadership evidence. The impact is our piece of men, yet evidence on the counterplan flaw, also over whiteness evidence indicates all their claims that they're not racist and that other people really are anarchic and unable to lead themselves, are all just ways of massive and structural racism, unequal distribution of risk. Now the brain drain debate, I think we're probably slaying on this debate. You should extend our, I haven't used this evidence, the evidence over here. You should extend our case evidence question indicates they lead to a brain drain, suck the best from other countries. There, linked to arguments also into things like H1B now. More evidence on this question, they lead to brain drain, Meyer, Kaplan, Sharam, one. These examples show the theoretical hierarchy system in place. It looks like a street game once one party steps past onto another, cause migration by attaining from the lower level teams to fulfill the gaps left by the immigrants with its own skill base. However, the cascade is a definite slope from the lower places. Development of the higher ones at the top. Stand the U.S. located at the bottom of the country's lower end, which institutions are so weak they cannot retain most of their talent, science, engineers, nomadism still does respond to an ambiguous state of asymmetrical relationships or inability to retain skilled person sharp with curtails the capacity to develop the country's alternative immigration laws. Those skilled categories of skills and demand internationally considerable bargaining power, thus further exacerbating income inequalities within the developing countries. Nation states are deeply involved in OECD countries have been explicitly promoting selective immigration for the last decades. They have constantly put in place juridical and technical measures to help recruit foreign policies. Congress expand the number of visa authorizations for skilled work in specific areas. Can't win offense. Brain game theories are based on a flawed developmental model leading to talent hemorrhaging. They calculate education in terms of quantity and quality, but ignore the type of education that individuals get. Be suspicious of their studies because they ignore huge gaps being created in education policy and social knowledge. Knock 7. We are forced to recognize the limitations of the brain drain edifice as well as human capital theory that underlies this in immigration. Human capital theory approaches education is, of course, no different to any other capital input. Educational policy derives from its narrowly economistic, the unbridled pursuit of self-interest that are prescribed, lead inevitably the skewed distribution of talents and resources that favor some countries and occupations over others, leading barren and deserted places very neat. The flow seem to always go from the less developed to the more competitive places. Talent hemorrhaging leads to economic collapse and massive social inequality. The Indian IT sector proves that obsession with the knowledge economy crushes other key sectors like manufacturing, public administration, construction, environmental science. Makes diversity of third world economies impossible and leads to collapse, comport into linear production of future growth. Should be treated with skepticism. IT-related exports, local policy, all current account payments completely dominating all the parts of the economy, more troubling effects of the distortion or consequence of rapid growth of the IT sector and the allocation of talent, dual combination, boasting of economic domestic demand and international mobility led to a wide range of talent. To repackage their skills work in the IT, other important sectors being starved of talent. Any benefits have been confined to an urban elite that's growth have been based on cost advantage rather than deeper technological capabilities, marking the continuation of growth doubtful. The expansion of these call centers is an example of the proliferation of India of a new proletariat means. They don't solve any of their arguments because they force everyone to go into the IT sector. In India, create a shift to one sector means that there's things like brain drain internally within the where people like the doctors repackage their skills to work in medical information technology. Now, competition state it leads to a triple crunch and makes extinction inevitable. Risk unintended competitors hegemony such that many policies are indirectly relevant to economic growth and be hijacked to support competitive agendas. Their discourse of competitiveness has negative consequences for economic sensitive, socially inclusive, environmental limits, and provide global punches. The discourse of competitiveness places and associated with growth versus environmentally aligned agendas are resilient features particularly strongly around global such as climate change and peak oil with all its implications for carbon-filled economies and global trade. This triple crunch is limited to potentially disastrous material consequences of voracious growth imperative, the hardening of levels of competitiveness in the form of resource constraints, food security, and global financial and ecological sustainability means they can't solve any gap. They necessarily lead to the worst forms of violence. They say are zero-sum theory of brain drain. Stupid answer that about the framework debate. That is right. Wow, that's a lot of cards. Right here. In terms of our interpretation of the attribute topic plan, nation test plan, or its method justification, refuse theory versus method separation debate is shall game framework debates. Our question that the actors responsible for their method, all arguments for impact the kind of education we get in the community where methods is not a point of stasis. We control uniqueness, the question, justification, intrinsic value of the immigration debate. The only question is whether we look at critically accept status quo knowledge production, make it a point of stasis. 1998. Certain ways of asking and answering questions related to immigrants establish a pre-constituted framework to make certain statements possible and others impossible questions become already given answers. The aim of criticism is not to reveal the truth. Discourse hides, but to problematize the facile gestures. Criticism is a matter of fleshing out that thought and trying to change it to show that things are not self-evident. One believes you extend our McLean evidence. They've already conceded in the one they say that public intellectualism is better. That's their McLean evidence. McLean says we shouldn't just be policy wonks. We need to engage public debate necessary for discussion. We also probably keep topic discussion because it leads to methodological investigation. We also have a public sphere to critically examine the global war for talent. Ensures public sphere collapse leads to with authoritarianism. Juro 6 states sovereignty are organized around the struggle for life, but an insatiable quest for accumulation, capitalism, necropolitics, market fundamentalism, trivializes democratic values, and trying to rapid individuals in the current system until being a war against all responsible citizens, replace market or subject hidden, and the market never without the hidden fist, public resources diverted from, addressing the fate of the wild world's poor, Therefore, we probably solve a permutation to their framework we mean because we advocate a policy alternative refuse. Competition statement and methodological refusal is key, and it's still compatible with policy alternatives. It's a relevant question for policymakers whether or not they accept current economic imaginations framed around competitive discourse. Now, the permutation debate all the link. I already explained that. The permutation debate all the link arguments above are DA to the FA. They should be able to separate those. Otherwise, the expression framework debate makes method not competitive severance is bad because it kills all our link around, makes it impossible to be negative voter fairness and the competitive equity. The permutation also links the brain drain DA, not something they can solve without severing now. They say competitiveness too, and we overcome this evidence is terrible. And it's the answer to the purposes we have to displace competitiveness hegemony first before we can solve. They say we've conceded there are signals of globalization. Not true. We have said that therefore globalization is bad. They say the alternative doesn't solve. That evidence is not very good. Now the case debate at the top. They have conceded all of our fragment evidence indicates that empirically competitiveness fails and leads to trade wars. We will accept their empirical method. It means they can't win the debate. They can't win any impact turns on the other part of the debate. Now the Bostrom debate, you can group this debate. They are getting crushed here. Our evidence is not about the question of an identity divide. It just says they lead to there are several arguments come up by the government, particularly true in a world of economic nationalism. That leads to transhumanism being bad and getting co-opted.
I'll finish.
Yeah, you should finish that. Okay.
All right, cross-sex.
And read one.
Are you cross-sex or are you prep?
No.
All right. Your TANIC evidence, well, I'm just going to read the first
Which
sentence.
TANIC card are you talking about? I read like
I'm just going to read the first sentence to you.
Which card are you talking about?
You'll understand in a moment. The Welsh government dictates itself to establishing Wales in the world, by which it means transforming Wales into a world-class location for blah, blah, blah. Is your alternative fiat anything with the government of Wales or the UK?
No, that's the argument I was talking about earlier, that it's
alternative
relevant
fiat
to the US.
Wales or the UK?
I just answered no.
How are you capable of overcoming competitiveness when it's clearly a multinational phenomenon?
The question is how we frame the global economy, and we're saying that framing it in terms of competitiveness.
Frame the global
well, we have some pretty good evidence
economy.
that you lead to things like, well, first of all, that's a claim that you've
When
already
you
made
say
in your
leads to, is that a causal claim? And what about what we do leads to? Is it the plan, or is it the way we talk about the plan?
Well, we have links at both levels. Our brain drain arguments say causally you lead to a brain drain in third world countries and that your brain gain arguments are false. And our evidence is assumptive of your sex evidence that quotes
What piece of evidence do you have that answers diasporas or remittances?
Well, our Chakravarti evidence says that Indian diasporic influences have funded the BJP and led to right-wing Indian takeover.
What's wrong with the BJP?
Well, they're super nationalist, and we read a bunch of impact turns about why nationalism is bad, so it's probably bad.
Economic nationalism, the BJP just likes Hindus.
Well, our evidence indicates that it makes it more likely that...
Do you have any evidence that says that they're economically nationalist? They're actually quite right-wing.
Okay, you can make that claim. The Girton evidence, no, we didn't read any cards about that, but the Girton evidence we read says that one of the effects of nationalism is to create economic nationalism.
Now, I want to get to a distinction that I perhaps just didn't understand. I think that you double-turned yourself. You said that brain drain causes us to take tech workers away. Mm-hmm. Then you said that third world countries focusing on tech sectors was bad. Which is it?
It's both. It can be both.
That doesn't make sense.
No, it actually,
we have all of the tech workers. They don't focus their economies on tech.
No, that's actually not true.
Why?
The Chakravarti evidence I read indicates that India will use the existence of tech workers in the United States to create public relations campaigns that pursue things like the IT sector.
Doesn't that presuppose that our brain circulation arguments are correct?
Well, if that's the case, you would still lose because brain circulation leads to a lack of economic diversity and nationalism. So I don't understand that.
So you did double turn yourself, but we can.
No, I didn't double turn myself. I just said it's an even-if statement. And besides that, I think that the two statements are compatible. I don't understand where anything I just said was.
We have the workers. They're not working in the Indian IT industry.
It's not like there's like 10
no
workers. There are some people that will come to the United States, and we're not just talking about India. From countries like Somalia, which probably don't.
There are people who stay there.
Do you want me to answer your question or not?
That's
not even a question. That's just an argument. There are people in countries other than India that don't go back to their countries and don't send remittances. 80% of Zimbabwe's doctors are now residing abroad. The judge.
So the government does not change the policy after the.
No, but our argument is that we're public intellectuals in this space. That's what your evidence says.
Yeah. Oh, you were supposed to.
I was switching spaces.
Yeah. I'll finish the case and then just say I have the counter plan.
Can I have some more of your paper, please?
I beat you. I beat you.
It's not 0-7.
What?
Nothing. Bad attempt at joke.
The character of technical science is inherently progressive. Second piece of GSU10 indicates that we will they lead to a bad political structure means that there are arguments about the way in which manipulating technology inevitably co-opts leads to forms of authoritarianism. Their choice arguments don't make any sense in the context of innovation through private corporations. The fact that this technology exists does not mean that technology is equally distributed. The mere existence of that technology reveals the inherent techno utopianism of the boss presidency, inherent socio-political dynamics under which that technology is developed is critical internally to how it becomes progressive. The second piece, the third piece of GSU10 indicates that their fantasies will inevitably feel lead to anti-science backlash internally turns the affirmative and other piece of posture indicates what it forms. It creates those who understand how to use this technology creates a technocratic form of politics that destroys and internally turns our choice arguments because it indicates will destroy the possibility of democratic politics. We have a broader internal link. This be the last piece of clean evidence I read on this flow indicates unless we act as public intellectuals, tyranny and oligarchy is inevitable, which means that we win any of these huge arguments above our framework arguments or internal link to their innovation evidence failure to analyze the values in which we place a policy means that technology will inevitably co-opt and lead to destructive ends. Can you read this question?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Kind of. Oh, because this had can see the Dream Act makes it inevitable to go, not go for it. Kind of. I really think you should probably have had a permutation to do both in the 2AC. I do not know how you can win this. They conceded that the accreditation system is one that destroys HBCs, makes it impossible for them to exist within the current university structure. Piece of Bronte evidence is not about excluding diploma bills. Rather, their characterization of their evidence is consistent. Is the constant rhetoric used to demonize destroy historically active institutions. Piece of Bronte evidence indicates the accreditation process is consistently produced distrust and between HBCs. It's supposed actuarial system of objective conclusions maxes the inherent racism embedded with a piece of Kelly evidence indicates that these forms of academic standard perpetrates the actuarial logic that hides whiteness. We have to interrogate as both intellectuals have to interrogate this form of discourse first before it's turning us especially critical within our educational systems. We have to have public debates about the way in which what values we should pose into our educational system. Impact piece of Mendieta evidence indicates that racism is the root cause of conflict. The only way to mobilize populations for war is by soaking up the racist files internally turns all their technology arguments. We would have huge evidence indicate they would lead to the development of technology under racist forms of politics means it's more likely that this technology will only be used to demonize and exclude other places like denigrating HBC universities outside of the sphere of technical innovation makes. Those impacts enable. The last argument I think is our employer choice argument. I think we can capture most of their offense is counterplay because nothing but counterplay dictates who they can choose. Rather, it broadens the possibility of choices about what from what institutions they can gain things. Places like HBC should be places that foreign students should be able to go and engage, which they have conceded they would exclude these universities from consideration. The permutation to do the counterplay does not answer these arguments. There's no permutation to do both in debate means they cannot capture our broadening pool of talent arguments. They have to win the entirety of textual competition. Is always bad in order to win this debate. Our interpretation is a textual competition. Textual competition. Good interpretation is that non-textual competition is good for word picks that are non-resolutionally based. It's not infinitely regressive because you chose to put the word accredited university in the claim. It was a decisive choice. You always be held responsible for the positions you take in the one I see. I do not think this is controversial. I think you should be held responsible for words you put your advocacy is key to topic education. Plan responsibility. We have to be able to defend the choice the choices we make, and why that the action, why the inscription of that should be within the law, not just within the argument that was solved. Their generic debates are interpretation solve their generic debates are arguments because it doesn't solve the or anti-regressive arguments with a net benefit because it would limit how process counterplans that are functionally competitive, like condition control counterplans are worse debate leads to more stale generic debates has a higher magnitude leading to these things. The permutation due to the counterplan severance was reason to reject the team because it destroys the ability to generate any links when I say the word silent permutation is dumb because they can't leave the combination of these arguments. The CBO wouldn't believe it would think it was a typo and move it back to place in the first place. They have no evidence on this argument. Their Troy evidence talked about the diploma mills, not about HBCs. I think this is the piece of evidence that probably goes affirmative because it's talking about one senator who thought we should get rid of these diploma mills in the first place. It doesn't answer our other piece of Bronte evidence, which indicates that the accreditation system doesn't solve anything because the good old boys network is only based on who does not rigorously impose any big standards which take out the fundamental premise behind their evidence. Their evidence is all rhetorical things from senators talking about why diploma bills are bad. It's not answer the internal link. This or eventually only internal link to our app evidence is taken out by the broader question below this. Their state failure impacts internal link turned by our arguments above. We win our Mendieta evidence indicates that this form of state failure would lead to most of the destructive things. What can you something mean?
Just read those two cards.
Okay. It's functionally competitive settlement glossary 8. Afraid you have to credit specific requirements of institution, then you have to receive official authorization, designation by official institute. Be some point is a pick out of the formal procedures, off ways, and one apprenticeship form procedure used to determine conforming certain kinds of measurements. The counterplan is best fit if we win those functional competitions. Okay.
All right.
I didn't know that's what you were.
How much time do you have? We have 5:45, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
First of all, allowing lists. Wait. There are historical the way accreditation has used, but currently again, they are accredited, which means
Okay, I think I have most of the information from this term, and I have to and I need to just cue
this person is a corporation, which means they will be competitive. The government of Wales will be competitive. The government of India will be competitive. Which means the only question whether is interdependent or national.
Yeah. Okay. I need to back up to
There are two things. There's backlash argument.
yeah.
Development of bias technology is the undergoing with or without the plan. The only question is that will cause us to that will cause backlash. The only question is whether or not we develop has to get over. You should get it. Go back to your original decision. Well, I saw you write down those. The backlash. And we need to make sure if there is a backlash, we need to check that exploitation and partnership. Here.
Oh, I have it. Is it? I have it. This one?
Yeah. Just be like backlash checks.
Okay. For me to read this part up.
No. This is the only way.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I got it.
Give a letter.
First, on the accreditation, you want to say about
Yeah. All right, good?
Yep.
I'm good. I gotta dump this stuff too. Can I have the flash drive back?
Yeah, did you stop JP's?
Oh, no. We were at 3 and I started at 6, so can we do 2:45? It's like right?
Yeah.
All right.
Is this your flash drive? Is that right? Or is this ours?
Yeah, we have. I think we've given like 2 flash drives.
I think that's true.
Whoa.
I'm going to put something on your flash drive.
Okay. We're actually going to put it first. I think this is like a special flash drive. Wait, I didn't put it on that. I thought you were putting something.
Did you put the...
No. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
B20R? Sorry.
So here's your Here's your other flash drive. That's the other one. I forgot the number. It was like really far away.
I get the tug.
Yeah. You just use the silver one. Got the flash drive.
Right. What happened? Your double space? The cap, okay?
Yeah, the cap of sorts.
It was one off cap, right?
Yeah. It was a lot of cap. Different caps though. There's every cap but T cap.
I didn't think we'd debate already.
I told you.
Yes, yeah, I guess so. We're debating next week.
Yeah.
Oh, what is that? 5 seconds. We have 2:45 left. Oh, you guys got everything?
Yep, we're good.
Oh, okay. Okay, do you know who Ellie? They're debating Cal. I know that. Okay. Oh, I'm a better. Not really, but
Like I said, I literally like rolled out of bed and drove here. This is pretty much what happened.
fair enough. Why were you should have worked at Ann Arbor this summer.
I was doing things here for less than
Fair enough. It was really hot this summer. Like, obnoxious. It's like, it was really. It was like no, but it was like consistently in the 90s, like art fair 90s, and because it was like so humid and like.
Was Woolley there?
What?
Was Woolley there?
Yes, but thank God I had no interaction. I had like one interaction with him, and I was just like, no, will we go away? And like, he's so nice.
I'm sort of shocked that he listened to that, actually.
Well, I also was like leaving, and I was like with like other people that
Fair enough.
were like
So
a
it
little
was
more
like
like,
really
whoa, yeah. Sorry, I almost tripped. I took it to the debate office like the first day of school. They had like bruises on my knee. It was terrible. Yeah, I was also very expressed because bad news bears. All right, case the counterpoint critique.
Hang on.
Everyone good?
war with each other. We are trading and leading national initially. The WTO would be able to track any trade disputes with the status quo. Only economic legion would be able to prevent those nuclear wars from going nuclear into Japan. In some cases, no trade war is possible. Means the plan changes the impact uniqueness for any of the impact. The status quo impact with the status quo trade wars or the trade wars are only inevitable in the status quo now. The possibly all the who's ever about the status quo is about a choice or evidence in the case that we would be able to transfer the human genome project means to be able to solve its suffering, and suffering will be able to suffering is able to choice. This way, this is critical to solve reports again or post or games with blood or post or gas with this is critical to solve now. Let's say the science backlash there is no backlash. The technical science and biotech are now on the status quo means that the backlash is also never quite status quo. It's only a question of if we're able to develop the capacity and innovation backlash to be able to check exploitation. Just there is no backlash. The no exploitation is flagrant. The preoccupation with discourse mirror represents leaving us in images of the world and the capacity of human nature small versus power definition of so omnipresent invisible. How can everything change if not invisible? There are not enough improvements to everything and say crush everything in the research discourse are often thin on see what for advantages we prove if we win the white government that proves that there is no reason why the back proves the backlash will be able to check exploitation. They take the pattern thinking and discourse are always inevitable. For me, it's not unique. He said to the plan issue now, the accreditation place you should be this made through survival first. They've conceded that extinction is forever and that you should not value racism or and you should not evaluate value like rather extinction is forever. Please, so there's no coming back into discourse. Not your reality. Tate Hill in 86 mental automatically part of human rights product to perceive the facts of reality integrating them in the national banner and one class to the right reaching correct to the mind cannot create the reality function human consciousness to perceive reality is out of the option of reasoning process of safety. They say racism is root cause. You should reject all root cause of this white girl through concept of human nature cannot be based on one instance of the country something as all that human nature. There's not no sense of human nature. No correlation about that. The lowest common denominator. The party reject all from the foundation for the trees hierarchical system. Which one to come to and would like to treat back the same order they hold on characters or in the world of multiple ways. Always go back to standard how you're getting the exploration with difference in multiple does not prevent them from taking position against it. Political he does for go to center authority with voice to the benefit call from the array of whispers established. Now they've also conceded that allowing for U.S. gamers to deployment bills takes advantage of foreign students to present the impact this internally turns your racism not better because police or racism intention. They've also conceded that foreign students want to apply to this accredited university status, which means that there's no uniqueness at the plan. They have no way. The HBCs there is no way to HBCs because those are accredited in the status quo. They only have a historical analysis, not stuff that is based on the status quo. Now, technical competition plan is to play there. It justifies the things that are just rejected plan, and the topic which are all infinitely regressive because you could just pick out things such as periods to solve. We could solve a being response for being counter plans that are functional competitive. They could see that there's no false options and negative, which means it decreases fairness, also decreases topics. There's a verification because it proves that we would do a debate about things, minutiae details, and touch on periods and commas, which are not about the topic. They process the counter plan, process consult counter plan nuclear better because they actually have good, not better position. The permutation is not steroids because it does more than the plan. They're not functional competitive because it's not functional competitive. It's not functional competitive because that's where the plan now. They can see the this at the counter plan fail states that are etc. All evidence indicates that universities that are not credit such as diplomas where the market forces exploit profit by lying to students, people who they had to create unfortunately get jobs such as airlines, entities, and research like that. Then the national security threat that increases the risk of espionage because there's no way to test it leads to fails that they can see their African Studies Center card in case of fail station complete to a spread of disease, terrorism, nuclear war, terrorism, racism, population would adopt a zero-sum mentality fighting against those who see different arms lead to extinction, which means that you should, for me now, there could be competition is not only a question of if we were able to exploit it. They could see the action of interdependence able to check that, which means that competition would not be disadvantageous to nations. The plan is able to prevent equality, economic national lead to our models that we solve just recalculate long-term post-humanism arguments indicate that we would be able to solve for long-term perceptions. Now, the brain drain, all the way to talk about HLBV does not about the plan of Johnson. That would indicate that the plan, they would send back remittance and travel back, which they considered a diaspora theory, that they would be able to create a cultural tie, which another reason why the plan is not solved is we so national better because they're going hard about Wales reason proves the alternative is you told me you should reject it because it's impossible to predict it should not receive a voting issue freedom such as that. If you have to reject Wales to provide some reason why the permutation is able to solve it now they now framework now should have policy after the status quo A, which is one is to change the focus of debate. Issue 2 it is with later trial by changing the age of the government to the judges did we have to predict the myriad of ways we rule alternatives. This is voting issue for fitness to the permit and this is the clean up is the focus on public intellectual should still be on policy, which means that the permutation is the only way to actually solve this. Now, grand is good. I actually don't have that card in this document, but
that's fine. Just read this.
Okay. If they win their brain drain arguments, if they win their brain drain, what?
They win their brain drain arguments.
If they win their brain drain arguments, workers to focus on the tech sectors, they double turn
They
themselves.
won't focus on the tech
They
sectors.
won't focus on third world tech sectors. They double turn themselves in diversity arguments, prove our brain drain circulation arguments, but their impact claim is wrong, and EIT is driving that growth that's proved this goes over.
No alternative.
No alternative, which means that only the risk of permutation of the plant cells.
Send the Fugard evidence.
Oh,
Send the permutation.
I did. Extend the Fugard evidence on the permutation and proves that we're able to suffer inevitable extinction. The discourse of competitiveness is inevitable, which means it's a reason why the permutation solves. Also, the whale argument proves that the link to the discourse is inevitable, which means that also the permutation is not separate because it doesn't plan in all non-exclusive parts of the alternative, which means that there's no distance of the plan and only a net benefit of the permutation because it avoids the double turn or the plan solves on the alternative links to the double turn. Sorry.
5 something?
I got it confused.
50?
456.
450.
Scam artist.
5 something?
Yeah, I just started. No.
Are you going to be at the
Figure out how to get to the airport. No, somebody has to stay home.
Just had to beat Jonah to the table.
Yeah. That's not effective in norming Jonah there.
Okay, it's going to be the pick, the K, and then the Ks. Okay. We're not going for the category condition. You can use the permutation. You both can't advocate the permutation because that would be severance of the 1A. The 1AC. You should extend our functional competition arguments to see by the 1A. Are they? We pick out a functional procedure that also means the textual competition arguments are not often even if they were. They have conceded implicitly the conditionality is good means no to our arguments. This question is good because times using strategies is inevitable. It's key to check their structural advantages. Now, they say these discourse-shaped reality noted root cause arguments. First is that these arguments are new in the 1A are not justified if it's true that we will concede these arguments linked to our racism arguments, but if that's the case, then these should have been read in the 2AC. The 1A arguments on these questions lead to late-breaking debates and always favor the affirmative. Reject these arguments out of hand. Now, we will answer these arguments if for some reason you think they're legitimate. They say discourse doesn't shape reality. We will concede the Liker piece of evidence they read on the case debate. This piece of evidence as well. Is there a reject root cause evidence indicates that their theory of separation between reality and discourse is wrong, which means their Tannehill evidence is contradicted by their other evidence as well, as our Daikin evidence on the affirmative debate indicates that justification justification shapes the way that we understand policy decisions, creates priorities that shape our interactions with materiality. This is not the all-encompassing kind of hegemonic discourse. There are other pieces of Liker evidence indicates they say reject root cause doesn't link to our competition state arguments, only links to them because they try to create a monolithic concept of the competition state. Even if that monolithic concept doesn't exist, they still push towards, which means they create the authoritarian violence that their Liker evidence accuses people who commit root cause arguments of engaging in their failed state. The is not unique and not and yet doesn't have any impact. So we're not going for the counterpoint. Now the global overtime. The impact arguments go the wrong way. They've conceded the competition is bad. It leads to a collapse of economic interdependence, which means their economic interdependence check arguments don't make any sense at all. They've conceded a piece of Bristow impact evidence indicates to lead to a triple crunch, leads to collapse of the environment, the economy, and leads to multiple resource wars, collapse of economic interdependence because they give countries incentives to fight. It means there's no possibility of interdependence because trade relations with unstable countries have their backs to the wall, so their populations push for conflict makes extinction inevitable. Not answering this argument means they lose the debate. I will concede their survival outweighs arguments arguments, answers to value life arguments because everybody's dead. There's no value life. Also conceded our internal interests. Their burden evidence means that they lead to economic nationalism. Framing issue at the top, they say U.S. leadership is key. Have dropped our piece of Kaplan evidence that U.S. leadership is racist, views the rest of the world as anarchic. These are truth claims. Are flawed and don't assign agency to people. People in the third world also proves that their attempted problems with the U.S. leadership system will necessarily meet with backlash and lead to colonial violence. No new 2A arguments on this question. My strategy is predicated on what the 1AR said. They literally did not answer this argument, even if they're correct, that they are not a competition state. They have conceded U.S. leadership is bad and leads to violence. This type of international cooperation necessarily leads to extinction. The impacts are good evidence. Now they say you can group the question of competitiveness inevitable. This is all a question of whether or not the alternative table will solve. You should extend our programs as well as their Bliker evidence. It's devastating for them because their evidence indicates discourse and hegemonic discourses are not inevitable or neutral. We should be able to push back against our Fogner evidence indicates it will be really hard to push back against competition state, but we can do it if we don't pollute our imaginary with the visions of competition. It's the reason why the permutation doesn't solve their Bliker evidence is functionally a DA to the permanent reason why all the solutions that would be created in a world where they try to reject the global war for talent while at the same time accepting discourses of competition would necessarily be polluted with competition discourse. Now they say they solve economic nationalism. I beg to differ. There's Citron and Davis evidence, which I cited, and the 2NC says we have to, that in a world where we don't have U.S. leadership, we begin to shift the economic and political power to other lands away from the U.S. or Nawakcha evidence indicates the immigration system fails to compete for human capital, and their Pearson evidence indicates that people leave the United States to go to other countries that compete with the U.S. All they say their evidence is all these things are bad. They've also conceded links to their brain drain evidence that they are brain drain is functionally concerned with creating export markets for U.S. goods, which means they are engaged in forms of international competitiveness. They've conceded our branding link argument that they create a national brand to attract knowledge and IT workers. They've also conceded our marginalized nationalism link argument that our Chakra Party evidence indicates that Indian diaspora and other third world countries create hegemonic narratives about themselves in order to attract workers. All these arguments prove they create an international economic system predicated on competitiveness. The alternative solves these arguments of Fogner evidence indicates we would lead to things like a better kind of globalization where we focus on cooperation, did things like tech downstreaming, and try to cooperate with other countries, created university public partnerships rather than public-private partnerships like the ones that the affirmative focuses on. They lose the debate because they do not have a single card that competition is good. We have conceded their empirical method arguments, which means that they lose the debate because they've conceded Krugman and Cohn evidence on the case debate that empirically competition fails, leads to trade wars, and also does not motivate people, which means they can't win any internal links. And competition is key to innovation. Means the alternative is the only way we can solve the case because the only possibility of innovation is in a world we reject competition. Now the framework debate is the only way they can win the debate because they're going for uniqueness arguments which don't make sense in a world where we refuse their method. That's their Bliker evidence as well as our Fogner evidence. They say Moots 1AC. I beg to differ. They've conceded our Daikin evidence indicates the 1AC is necessarily bound up with the justifications for the 1AC, which means they can't win uniqueness to these arguments as part of the 1AC. All the choice arguments made on the textual competition debate are relevant here. They chose to put these things there. It's key to education. It's also key to topic education. They've conceded the public intellectuals link argument that our evidence indicates, our McLaren evidence as well as our Daikin evidence indicates that focusing on justifications is key to public intellectuals. And the impact is what Giroux evidence indicates we cede the political to the competition state necessarily leads to extinction. Begs the question of the critique in order to win framework. Now they say permutation debate. All of the link arguments I've isolated above are links to the permutation or it severs their framework, which begs the question of the framework debate above. The severance is voting issue for fairness and competitive back. We have to defend their justifications. The brain drain debate, even if they want to double turn this argument, it's not relevant. Have not extended impact. We've conceded extinction comes first. Also probably true that they lead to diasporic nationalism. If and statement, not a double turn. They probably don't lead to a brain drain. We'll concede that, but they do lead to them focusing on the IT sector. Now the case debate this humanism debate this techno-humanism debate is irrelevant because we're winning the alt-solves and also because they lead to fascism. They've conceded the social framework.
Yeah.
I need to see your Krugman evidence.
Yeah.
Where's the trade wars card? I have the flood myself.
Oh, I have the trade wars card right here. Okay. And then it's this top cone card with an X.
This.
I'm gonna go to that one like that.
Yeah, buddy.
Is this the link?
Oh, this is not your pen. Do you know what room your ball's in?
Yeah.
Peachtree.
Peachtree.
Okay.
Just want to give you on my phone.
Yep. It's
Do you
roll
have
on me now. Yeah. Michaela's with it.
Good. Keep track of that.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Thanks.
Sometimes I find I am in need of a lasso. And the skill set to use it.
Ready?
Whoa.
Case, then the pick, then the critique.
Post-humanism is too big of a metaphysical debate and an a priori question to only get to it with 8 seconds left. They have conceded the 1AR argument that was made in the 2AC that it is a question of morality because it's a question of access. They have conceded the 1AR argument that we would lead to post-orgasmic bliss forever, that we would be permanently enthralled by our own selves. You should be a hedonist and vote affirmative because that would be a better world for everyone to live in. They have conceded our Bostrom evidence that it is a moral D-rule. Their only argument is that it leads to fascism. They've conceded several defensive arguments to this. First is that technocratic and biotechnology and the politicization and control of that is inevitable. However, that their backlash arguments prove that there would be democratic checks in the way to shape for this, which means our morality arguments about choice come into play because people would be able to choose what sort of technologies they have accessible to them, which means that they would be able to modify their bodies and transcend the inevitable pain and suffering that is endemic to the human condition, which will persist whether or not competitiveness does, which means that it is literally try or die. No value to life exists in the status quo. We have to innovate ourselves out of the human genome. This was at least 30 seconds of the 1AR, which was dropped by the 2NR. You would be doing a lot of work for them if you did not vote on this argument before looking at every other argument on the floor because it was highlighted as a prioritization argument. Now, it also comes before racism because only the idea of racism is based on the human race or the idea that we have biologized identity. That argument was extended on the counterplan as any solvency deficit means you vote affirmative proves that even if they win a link, we still win that the case that way is now the Krugman debate. They did not get to this part of the flow. The last argument was on post-humanism. He has conceded the 1AR argument that Krugman says, quote, the view that nations compete against each other like big corporations has become pervasive. Then he says that this doctrine that has become pervasive among people who study economics informs the discourse that shapes corporate power, shapes the decisions made by governments in order to compete for human labor. They have conceded the argument that this is inevitable in the world of the plan or the status quo, that this is going to happen anyway. Now, this is doubly true in the context of the 1AR argument that H-1Bs are what most of their link arguments are talking about and that they are inevitable in the status quo. The cap has not been filled, which means the U.S. will continue to compete for human capital regardless of the plan, and that you should vote for a short-term extinction scenario because that is a priority, because extinction is forever. You can never come back for it. The only chance of saving yourself and all of humanity is voting affirmative. Now, the accreditation pick. That is where we made the survival argument. I'm going to extend it across here in case you are a line-by-line judge. However, they make the argument that we read this root cause everything is new. The Mendiad evidence was tagged as it causes war, not that it causes everything, which means it's not a D-rule or framing impact, which means you should privilege our post-humanism impact. Additionally, necessarily. It does not link to us. All of our evidence indicates that there are many causes of war, however, that U.S. Economic leadership would be able to solve that by creating a cooperative model for conflict resolution. That is the conceded Mandelbaum evidence that they do not have an answer to. Now, at the top, they have conceded that the U.S. will try to compete, that other nations will try to compete, that Wales will try to compete, that India will try to compete, that all of their evidence about other countries is, in fact, permutation evidence. They got to the permutation with 15 seconds and only spent that much time on it before almost dropping case. This means that there are multiple alternate causalities that the alternative is not able to solve for. In cross-ex, I asked him if the government changed any of their actions in the world of permutation. He said no, which means that your ballot in this debate run probably does not mean that much, probably does not solve any of their link arguments, which means the alternative is unable to create uniqueness for all of those arguments. It's inevitable in the status quo. The only question is whether or not the affirmative is able to channel it in a way that is productive to resolve conflict. The alternative conceded is economic nationalism, a mercantilist system in which competition is viewed as zero-sum. Their own Garten evidence in the part that we read in the 1AC, when we read their impact card for them, probably a mistake to let us get away with our highlighting of that impact, because it says that U.S. preaching the gospel of globalization checks the ability of any of those wars to escalate. Also means that it checks their racism impact. I will get to that on the brain drain debate. However, it is a reason why the case a net benefit to the permutation that the alternative cannot solve any of the links for framework debate group, but I cannot believe they mishandled this so badly. Our framework was the standard status quo or competitive policy options, means that you can interrogate justifications. You just need to have a policy option alternative. They don't, which means that they lose. They concede the 1AR argument about the McLean evidence, that even though it is talking about public intellectuals, and we are public intellectuals in this debate round, that the focus of those intellectuals should be on policy in order to resolve competing claims and questions, because that is the only way to generate linear clash, which means it's a fundamental fairness question. You should direct the alternative, which means they don't have any uniqueness scenario for any of their link arguments. Now they say this Kaplan evidence. However, this begs the question of whether or not the U.S. gaining wealth is good or bad. They've conceded two pieces of brain drain arguments. They try and kick out of this in the 2AR. However, we conceded the impact turn, which means that you can't do that. They say going through their tech sector arguments. However, that is good for growth. They conceded the 1AR argument that the reason India is doing so well is because of their sweet IT sector that is caused by brain circulation. Remittances alone solve third world poverty, which means it is not racist. Rather, it creates the ability of different excluded groups to gain needed financial capital. Diaspora networks also change the way the U.S. calculus, because the U.S. does not lead to the exclusion of other people. Rather, they are influenced by diaspora groups within the United States in order to influence their foreign policy in a more cooperative way to other countries, which means the permutation has a net benefit of the brain drain just had, which the 2NR screwed up when they tried to kick out of it. They say their vision of competitiveness is polluted. That vision is inevitable in the status quo. As per their Krugman evidence, which was conceded, there is only a question of whether or not they'd be able to solve. Now, they say their alternative is public-private partnerships. There is no mechanism for any of these arguments. They've conceded that their own Fugart evidence concludes that the alternative is impossible. Maybe this was a tagline in the 1AR, but it is a damning concession, because it is the end of their article, where their article concludes that it is so ingrained in the minds of people who actually run companies in countries like the other countries other than the United States that their link evidence is talking about, that it is literally impossible to eradicate. There is no mechanism for operationalizing your ballot in the question of this debate in order to oppose it, which means all of their link arguments are inevitable in the status quo. You should operationalize the affirmative in order to achieve a post-human moral D-rule destiny rather than be damned by the extinction of the status quo.